So Sandra, we're on the Allan Water today, seeing Revive the Allan, you know, a huge project for the Trust.
Yeah, it was the project was in 2 phases. It was funded by a Biodiversity Challenge Fund.
Yeah, how much did they give? It must be...
It was probably one of the biggest projects we've done, about £350,000.
Wow, that's a lot.
So a big project, a challenging project, but an exciting one.
Yeah.
Shall we go and have a look?
Yeah, let's go and
right,
have a look.
let's go.
So one of the problems on the Danny Burn is obviously the lack of riparian trees. If water temperatures go over 18 degrees for a prolonged period of time, it stresses the fish that live in here, stresses the salmon, trout.
So having that shade then from the trees is so important, isn't it?
100%. It just provides that cover, keeps the river cool for the wildlife within it.
The woodlands would have been all the way up the burn, so we're just trying to recreate it. We've planted 2,000 native trees right next to the burn, all through a grant from Network Rail through the Tree Council. We had, I think, 3 groups of volunteers up here just helping us plant the trees.
So we've got 15 different species. We're going to be planting this bit today. So we're using paper guards and mulch mats just to make sure the trees survive and don't get competed by the grass. So we're just kind of complementing what's already here.
So it's fully biodegradable, no plastics being used, even the wood stake is biodegradable eventually.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty decent.
The management is the key. We need to just keep an eye on them.
And eventually, once the tree's established after 20 years or 30 years, you know, hopefully natural regeneration will kick in and we'll start seeing sort of natural recruitment coming through. So we're at the top of the Allan Water catchment near Blackford, seeing some of the leaky dams, another natural flood management technique. What is a leaky dam?
And the leaky dams are basically man-made structures that are put across a watercourse to try and slow the flow. A real natural leaky dam would be either a tree that's fallen over a river or a burn, or maybe a beaver dam. But in this case, it's man-made, and Nigel, who's the factor of Blackford Estates, and I have been working together installing them across the upper reaches, the upper catchment and the tributary burns of the Allan Water.
As with so many rivers nowadays, with the speed of rainfall, and particularly if we get snow melt as well off the hills behind us, there's not enough room without causing serious flooding. So anything that can slow the water up just for a little while makes a difference.
And the good thing about the dams is, you know, they don't block access for migratory fish. Normal access remains because the dams sit just higher up, and it's purely when there's a flood coming down the river that
it just slows it down a wee bit.
The trouble is, when you're standing here on a nice morning like this, you think, well, that's never going to flood. I've seen all that area, even without the dam, full of water. I mean, I would like to see some more in so that you got more on the same burn, you would get a better overall effect, you know. But, small steps for the moment.
So I suppose this is Leaky Dam Plus, because it's doing the benefits of a leaky dam, but then it's using the sort of breach in the embankment here to help divert water down into another field.
So right down at the trees in the distance, there's a big floodplain down there, and that's where this water goes, and again it holds it for 2, maybe 3 days.
And historically, you know, there was a lot of effort put into embanking rivers to try and canalise them and stop the flood coming out, whereas we're kind of using the embankment to our advantage by capturing the water on the other side and holding it back long enough to let it percolate through the soil.
The project was called Revive the Allan Water, because the Allan Water is very much a man-made, canalised river for much of its stretch, from here almost right down to Green Loaning. And that was because when the Victorians put in the railway, they didn't want 20 bridges, so they just straightened it and it's very non-natural. So what we wanted to do in reviving it was to make it a bit more meandering where we could.
Yeah.
And if we look in front of us, how we've done it is we've put in what's called woody debris, and it's big tree trunks with their root balls, and the trunks are secured in the bank with post and wire, and some rocks were on site. So we tried to use as much natural material as we possibly could.
And you can already start seeing the changes as well, like, you know, very flat flows previously, but you know, you put the woody debris in and you've got runs, you've got the pools, you've got sediment deposition, it's everything that a river should actually have.
Well, we're 2 years in now, and yeah, you can definitely see the change that they have brought. So there's a sort of marriage between sensible farming and allowing the river to be a proper river and therefore attract more fish, more wading birds and so on.
This is us here at Deaf Now, and the project that we're working on today and for the next few weeks is trying to allow the water back onto this big floodplain. And it's not allowed out just now because there's an embankment, so we want to let it back.
We're going along at low points in the floodplain to see where the water's already lying, and then when the digger comes in they can take out these areas so the water sits on it longer and flows across and preventing flooding downstream.
Since last week there's quite a lot been going on. We've got a lot of the channel dug out now.
And you can see the water starting to get a bit deeper there. It's where the water's coming off the land.
Lots of biodiversity here, and hopefully it will continue to be so even more, because we're going to create some pools
For more frogs and newts and amphibians. So also birds will come here as a kind of more shallow areas. It'll be just swampier, so wading birds will come in.
So this is a 3-channel system. Channel 1 is a long channel, and then channel 2 comes off it. Channel 3 breaks off channel 2. Now the low point in the system is the ground at the end of channel 3, and this is where the water in the system is the lowest point. We will slowly soak the water away through that end point. It's soft on the landscape, it blends in, and once it's regrown it'll be almost hidden, and you'll be taking a lot of water out of the system.
So this is amazing. It's just get a channel dug and it makes a huge difference to the local communities, the wildlife, and then the floodplain as well.
And it's real teamwork here, because quite a lot of our colleagues have been involved, and we're obviously working with Ian and Stuart, the contractors. But there's not a high cost to these projects, less than £100,000, and so it's relatively low cost, but it's a highly effective project.
Oh wow.
Yeah, quite a difference, isn't it?
100%.
So when the river rises 1.1 metres above the bed height, then it comes out onto this channel.
Yeah.
And we did the level so it slowly goes downhill, and then it spreads out on that sort of channel, the middle channel.
Yeah.
That's where it spills out first. And wading birds, they need open water for feeding their chicks, insects and that. And right throughout the summer, when I came up here in the summer, even though we had a really dry summer, we still had the pool. So great for insects and great for the wading birds. And they're really vulnerable just now, those wading birds.
Yeah.
So anything that we can do to help. We meet again in a bog, Daniel. This is shelf orky moss that we're on this time. We're doing peatland restoration. We're trying to raise the water table on the peat bog. It's good for slowing the flow for flood mitigation, and also good for wildlife and carbon capture as well.
Yeah.
So tell me a wee bit about that, what you've been doing on the main bit of the peat with the peat dams.
So up on the raised part of the bog there, we've been putting just peat dams in with the digger, just solely digger work, just going along each ditch, putting a peat dam every 10 metres.
These are two great big ditches that the water flows off the bog, but slow now because of the work you've done. So tell me a wee bit about these.
Yeah, this is plastic piling. So there's this type of method where it's braced at the back. They're down about 2 metres down into the peat.
And already, since the last time I was here and you've raised the water level, this bit between the ditches has got much wetter.
And in the
this is ideal.
last 5 days since we started putting the plastic piling in, it's got wetter significantly.
Because we couldn't see the water there.
No, you couldn't even see the water in the ditch before, no.
Yeah. No, so that's perfect.
We have to make sure we get the right measurement between the banking and banking.
Yeah.
Because obviously we were here in summer and the water level was so much lower and we just assumed that was the ditch.
Yeah.
Come back in winter after a month, 2 months of rain and the ditch is way bigger.
So there's lessons to be learned, but
Definitely.
I think it's been a really good job because this bog is so much wetter and that's what we wanted.
Yeah, job
Good
done
job
well.
done. Thank you.
Lovely.
We're at Green Loaning, having a look at the Green Loaning Natural Flood Management Project, just slightly up from the Green Loaning Bridge.
What we did was we put in some scrapes to hold some more water in the floodplain. We diverted the canalised ditches before they got onto the Allan Water, and we actually broke some drains because this whole area in the past had all been artificially drained.
We're just searching for an old clay drain, so we are. There you go. It's the drain there. That's the burst drain. So.
And he's filling it back in.
Yeah.
And then he's going to compact it.
Yeah. That'll be that then.
That's it. On to the next one.
So, first of all, just took our height roughly of where we thought the water would be sitting in the ditch.
Right.
And took our height right down through. And then pretty much took it all the way down through, cleaned everything out as it is just now, and then took the last bit out and let the water rush down and just clear the bottom of the ditch out as the water rushed down.
Just what we wanted, the water back in the floodplain.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Doing its job perfectly.
What a difference since a few days ago.
Yeah, it's looking fantastic. The water's coming down from the ditch and it's filling up all these nice pools that we've created and some that are already here.
The main ditch runs down through here and we created this block with all the spoil and all the material that came out of our ditch we made down here. But when we took the turf off the top, we kept the turf separate so we could re-turf it and it just blended back into the scenery quite nicely.
So all of this is basically the blockage that we've created.
The spoil. See this channel,
yeah.
and you can see how it's nicely.
Oh yeah.
See how it's flowing and see the gravels that are coming.
Yeah. All of this area would have been the natural floodplain of the Allan Water.
Absolutely.
And it would have been wiggling around if it wasn't for the railway.
The canalised section because of the railway, yeah.
I mean, all this water, you know, it was looking like it was going straight into the Allan, whereas now, you know, it's going across this massive area.
It's using the floodplain as it should do. There's another big area further upstream that's very similar in habitat, wetlands with canalised ditches. So we're kind of thinking that would be the next project. We would like to look at that, certainly. It takes a team to do all these jobs. And as you say, all these projects all fit together for natural flood management. All incremental changes to slow the flow.
All these little interventions to make a big impact in the
difference.
catchment,
Yeah, no, absolutely.